Tuesday, March 2nd. The time is now 6:33 p.m. and I'd like to call our first in-person school committee meeting since, well, at this iteration of school committee meeting, our first to order. First up on our agenda is the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look over the warrants? Our minutes from the last meeting will be in our folder for next time. Any questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to consent oh my gosh, maybe not. I'll make a motion to consent the agenda.
Okay,
I can't speak.
all right. Any questions or anything? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved unanimously. Next is a student report. I don't know if Marcus is on. I see there's 26 people, but I don't know who else might be
It's in
on.
alphabetical order, so the M's are right at the bottom. We'd have to scroll up a little bit more to see.
We'll give him, Marcus, if you're there, could you raise your hand, your little Zoom hand? I don't see him. Okay. So I'm gonna say we'll push that to, it's standing anyway, so we'll move on that one for next time. Item number 3 is continuing business. So we're gonna talk about the reopening plan some more and safety committee update. And so one of the things that I just kind of want to make sure we talk about and bring it out so it's not like an elephant in the room is that, yes, we are aware that there's been all sorts of things happening, flurry of activity from Commissioner Riley, from Governor Baker. So as it stands right now, everything that Commissioner Riley mentioned the later part of last week and what Governor Baker has talked about right now, these are all suggestions and proposals to propose. There's a Board of Education meeting that's happening on this Friday. Is that correct, Carol?
I believe it's this Friday, yes.
And that's when they will vote to see whether or not they're going to give Commissioner Riley the authority to do what he wants to do. Governor Baker's proposal, as I understand it and interpretively, is riding on the coattails of what Commissioner Riley is pushing forward and that he's standing behind this initiative to get kids back in school full time. But I would like to remind everyone that we are phasing students in. All of our students will be granted in a hybrid model by March 22nd, with the exception of those students that have chosen to remain remote. Is that correct as I'm stating that, Carol?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about that. I just want to say that I know that maybe it's not happening fast enough for some people, but for as many people that want to push in, I can probably find as many people that are reluctant to move forward, that are, that there are still families in our district that are choosing to leave their kids remote. So there's not a one size fits all proposal or a one size fits all solution. And as I'm really getting long in the tooth as chair here. This is what, my 4th meeting. I'm realizing that it doesn't matter what I say or do or what we say or do, we're not going to make everyone happy. And I'm trying to be comfortable in my own skin regarding that. So as I'm sitting here with my fellow ladies, I just want to say I appreciate you guys because this has been a lot more than I would have ever thought it was. And this is just a shout out to Emery because Lord knows he dealt with this from, last March throughout. And just in this little tidbit, the amount of work and time and energy that, reading through emails, trying to answer emails, just trying to digest the information, there's a lot of it that's out there. So I'll get off my soapbox and say, Carol, take it away for the reopening plan and where we're at.
So we are on track for Monday for our 9th and 10th grade and our 3rd and 4th grade to start. We had a good first week last week with the kids in both schools. A lot of smiles, a lot of happy kids to be back. It was great having the building making noise, people in the halls. So it was a good first week back.
Do we have any reports or anything like what teachers were saying? How was staff with more people? How are the teachers feeling?
I think you've got Stephen and Bill on as panelists. We can, get it straight from
Do we have
them.
any teachers that are on? I would love to hear from the administration, but I'd also like to hear from a couple of our teachers that came back into the building. Robin's probably been in.
No, not Robin.
Um,
I can't see them from here, so I can't tell you who has.
let's see.
I don't think maybe calling them out, maybe if they would like to offer.
Yeah, if anyone has anything that they'd like to say, if you could raise your hand. I just kind of want to hear from people, a temperature check just to see what we thought, having people back. And Nancy, I see your name up on the screen. I'm wondering how you thought it was, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, having more people back in the building, and if it went okay, but having the second grade cohort, which we were worried about coming back.
Nancy's in two places.
She's on 2 meetings.
Oh, that's right. I forgot she's in 2 meetings. Okay, we'll save that later. Is there a safety committee update at all?
So it's, the safety committee update is, we actually had a good conversation regarding me notifying the community about positive cases within the school community. And after, a well thought out conversation, we decided that I would do it once a week. And do from Wednesday to Wednesday, and that a daily COVID report would be on the website. And in my once a week notification, it will always include the link to the website daily. So if people want to know daily, there's a place to go. We got some reports that it was anxiety inducing by hearing it every day, getting notified that there was a case. So for some people, they want to know that, and for others, once a week is plenty. So we're going to do that moving forward.
So I did have some conversations with Cheryl today, and she's unable to make it. She had a conflicting meeting, but she did send us all an email, and I have her permission to read this part into record. So I do just want to say that because it's part of the reopening plan, and it kind of fits into the next part of a visitor's comment as well. So Cheryl Danette, the president of the GEA, says, most all of the staff are very eager to return to in-person learning. For many of us, there is a beginning of the year anticipation while we ready our classrooms for the students' return. We know that many steps have been taken to ensure everyone's health and safety. Our hope is with the proper protocols being not only in place, but followed by all, we will have a positive experience returning to in-person. There is a high level of disappointment that all school staff was not prioritized for the vaccines. However, we are ready and excited to be in person with our students. Granby's teachers, nurses, and paraprofessionals have always been dedicated educators, and we will continue to give it our all. We have always wanted what is best for the students in our community. Sincerely, Cheryl. So I am relieved and happy and elated to have that feedback from the teachers. I feel like, we've been working with the union, we've been working hard with the union, and I think we're getting to a better place of collaboration. And not that we weren't ever collaborating. I want to make that perfectly clear. This is not a knock on anybody, but I feel like everyone's really trying to be in it together. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate her comments. Okay. Anybody have anything else for safety committee update or reopening plan questions?
I have a question in general. So, if there is support for the commissioner and governor's plan to kind of move forward, Carol, is that something you're going to kind of look at with your leadership team in terms of, what that might change per the recommendations and guidance?
Well, I think it's not so much just us looking at it, it's the school committee and us working with the GEA.
And the BOH too, right? And the Board of Health also to make
and the Board of
sure.
Health,
Mhm.
So there's a few things that we have to do, to make sure that we're doing it safely.
Mhm. So with that, let's just kind of play it out a little bit. So there's this meeting on Friday. Riley gets the vote Should we be scheduling a joint meeting with with BOH and with the appropriate, because it's not truly a negotiation, it's going to be a plan that's being, as I'm understanding it, it's a plan that's being like an edict from on high. This is what you need to do. So there's not really room to negotiate, right? We just have to figure out how
You
to
have
make
to
this
know-
plan work.
You have to negotiate the impact.
Okay, we have to negotiate the impact. But in order to make a plan, I feel like we need to have the key stakeholders.
Mhm.
I would love to say in a room, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily possible, but on a Zoom, just to try to make those things happen. So when would we preliminarily schedule that now for sometime next week, or wait and see how the vote goes, or what do you think?
Well, until he gets the authority, I think, I mean, we certainly can schedule, a meeting, say on Monday, to find out what the availability of the Board of Health. Or
Okay.
even after, I mean, his Board of Education is usually during the day, so we should know, 11, 12 o'clock, I would think, if the decision has been made.
I have a question. Does he give a date?
What's the date that's being thrown around is April 5th.
April 5th? I thought it was April 1.
No, because it's the first Monday, I think.
Okay.
It's April 5th.
Because April 1 is the weekend,
Oh, right. Okay.
so that's the first Monday of the month.
So that's the first Monday. So one good thing that we have sort of going in our favor is that we have worked to the point where, like I said earlier, all of our students will be in the building as of March 22nd. And our numbers are trending in the right direction, so there will be no need to pull that back. So really what we have to work on is how to bump up that amount of time and also find out like all of the little nuances of this proposal, because one of the articles that I read, I read the comments too, so sometimes I get myself confused, but was that they want hybrid to be off the table, but so many schools had like this going to a 4-day hybrid with Wednesday as a deep clean day. And so they weren't 100% sure if it would be a full 5 days or if it would be like a 4-day kind
It's
of.
depending on hours. That's what it boils down to. They have to have so many in person. The same thing, how we had to change the block scheduling at the high school. It's amount of hours. So unless they want to go to school on Saturdays and the weekends, or all summer long, we'll
Okay.
end up having to change it
We have to change it.
if he changes it.
And then the other thing we'd have to work on is the spacing, right?
Yeah. 'Cause
Correct.
my other, because if they're getting away from the hybrid, what about, my understanding was it was those schools that could. Because if there's not enough spacing in between, you can't have everyone in the building.
So that's sort of where the crux of it all lays is, again, I am not super well versed on this. This is like my reading and understanding. So I'm looking at you, Jill, because I know in your
Yeah,
day job life. that
I
you have-
think it just goes back into kind of figuring out where that balance lies and where DESI's interpretation versus the CDC's interpretation and, kind of where the strike of that is for us and meeting the time on learning requirements and all of it. Because when I listened to it and read the material, Commissioner Riley had made a statement about how DESI's interpretation of the social distancing was never 6 feet, it was 3 to 6 feet. And that was always where DESI had stood, and some schools were, using that and being fine with 3 feet.
Mhm.
And I think that's not necessarily where we stand or have to stand, but it's tough. So I think depending on where we end up with what he's given the authority to do with Governor Baker's approval, and then where we get with working collaboratively with everybody. I think that's where, I just wanted to kind of have like a little bit of an open discussion though, and kind of be thinking about all of these things, because if we have to meet certain requirements, how we get there is going to be very important.
So talk to me, or someone explain to me better. I understand hours of instruction as it applies to what, so this is from a line in the sand from this April 5th date going forward, right? Because
Yes.
what we've been doing up until this point has been meeting what was expected at this point. Is that not correct?
Correct.
It was what was counted to be allowed to do it. So
Right.
they were, that's why they adjusted the hours at one other point of how much live instruction versus, the synchronous versus asynchronous.
Right.
Now he's taking that completely off the table.
Correct.
So how will that impact those students though? Because it's like saying one thing as, you listen to them and it says one thing, but then all students that need to or choose to stay home remote are still going to be okay. So how do we play that out? So we have these,
So we're going to have remote teachers as well as in-person teachers.
and those remote teachers would be remote from the building or remote from their home?
Live teaching all day,
Live teaching all day, so.
Wherever they are.
Semantics, but yeah, they'll be live
Yeah.
all day.
And now will specials have to be live now as well?
Well, specials are live for the kids that are in the building, so they go to specials.
So we have specials right now in the
Right.
elementary school. There's a special that's every day, but the kids are only in the building 2 days a week. So there's specials 3 days a week that are not live for some of the kids.
Right.
So what
Well,
I'm
if
asking,
all of the kids return in April, then they'll be doing probably asynchronous for the students at home and live for the students that are in here.
and then, so what about half days? So half days, not early release days, but half days, I know that there's like this fine line of time. Half days count as hours of instruction. Could we do like 4 full days and a half day? So that, if we wanted to have the deep clean sort of thing on a Wednesday in the afternoon? Or is that,
If it's-
does that
they
negate it
add-
all?
We add up all the hours.
So, but there would still be hours on a Wednesday then, or would it be better if they, I'm just trying to think, like, how do you
Well,
balance it?
typically your our Wednesdays during COVID became half days.
Well, they're
but-
Wellness Wednesdays now, so it's not really like a full,
No, they are.
They
It's the
are.
afternoon is asynchronous. So you're still,
The
you're
kids
still
are still
instructional
getting
time.
instructional
Correct.
time.
okay.
They have
So if
work
we
their
go
time.
5 days, to be, that's what it will be. It'll be just like we're back in school, but the students that choose to stay remote will have remote instruction.
So kind of a little off topic, a quick question I had is, what would busing look like if we go back to 5 days?
So they've already,
I was gonna say
the
busing's
busing
already
has
changed.
already been relaxed. So the guidance with the busing now is much more relaxed than what it was before.
Is it 3 feet? Is it,
No, I believe
they're
it's
just putting
student-
butts in seats.
it's just
Yeah.
regular?
Windows
One
and like,
student per, at
Right.
least one student per seat in a big bus. It's different, but every seat would be occupied.
and some windows need to be opened or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
continue
windows have
windows
to be
open
open.
for ventilation, but capacity wise, there's.
It's
So
one-
capacity wise, we're not concerned moving forward that we would have to run multiple bus
Yeah,
runs
we're
or
still-
anything.
we're running
We have
all our buses.
Yeah, all our
Yeah.
buses run anyway.
Yeah, we've been running every bus out anyway.
Right, but my understanding is we're running them right now, but they're drastically reduced in how many students are on the bus. If we go back to in person, are we going to be able to still accommodate just running the 6 buses that we have?
Well,
Well, I think what I think what they're saying is that we've already gone back.
We
to-
don't have any more, but like, all the buses we would need, we have already, so.
There's no more compressed routes or different routes because that number, the spacing has already gone away.
Right, but, okay.
And the requirements
requirements
that
have
relaxed
gone away.
prior
Yeah,
to
yeah.
this
All right,
being on
so
the
that's one
table.
thing we don't need to worry
Yeah,
about
so busing
budgetary
is
wise,
no longer
a concern.
a concern. And so that busing would also parlay into sports, right?
Makes
So if we
sense.
needed bus transportation for sports when we have games, we're good with that piece of it, right? Because that's still a part of the same
Yep.
shebang, right?
I would assume so. I mean, Ally would probably be able to speak
Right, we'll
better
ask
to that,
her.
but I would assume so, yes, based on the, reduced regulations for busing in general, I would say yes, but Ally certainly could probably speak more to that.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this, it's on the top of my head, we're just talking about it, the buses. So if they've been more relaxed in that manner and kids can be within 3 feet there, do you think we're gonna be more relaxed in other avenues? Like, I have a hard time to like thinking that we have to be, really strict with these areas, but then with the bus, it's like That just seems so counter. So if the bus, like the kids can be within, they're gonna be within 3 feet on the bus, but then when they come in the building, we're separating them by this potential 3 to 6 feet. I was wondering if they're being more relaxed on the bus, do we think that's gonna follow suit in the classrooms?
Well, that's what. the
That's what
To be
Department of
determined.
Education-
Yeah.
Right, well, they were still saying that's 3 to
The
6.
the CDC keeps saying 6, but there are every day, another doctor signs on, there's a document that the Department of Education has been sharing where they're saying that 3 feet is, suffices. In elementary.
Right, because I guess what I'm trying to say is then, right, 3 feet. When you're sitting on the bus, they're going to be closer than 3 feet with other students.
If there's one in a seat, not.
Well, my understanding is that the restrictions are more relaxed for elementary students on the bus
So I'm just bringing it up right
than
now.
it is
So
for.
the-
Okay.
The
It
new,
just,
the new guidance is that for elementary schools, capacity limitations and physical distancing on buses are lifted. So riding a
Okay.
bus is the same as pre-pandemic, based on the new regulations.
Except they have to wear
wear
masks.
masks.
Wear masks, windows,
Right,
capacity
but
wise.
capacity, gotcha.
Capacity wise, you can have 2 kids or
So we
3
can't
kids if
put children on
needed
the bus.
in every seat on the bus.
Okay.
That's been when did that go into? It's been a while. I
This
feel
is
like
been,
a couple weeks.
yeah, not a while, but yeah, a
Yeah.
couple weeks probably. Yep.
That's a lot.
That's a while.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're right.
Something that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, it's changing day to day.
It's like super old news.
Yeah.
right?
So I guess-
Actually, February 11th, so
Yeah.
yeah, so 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then another part of this, Riley's statement is this was also really concerning K to 6. So also I just wanted to kind of discuss 7 to 12. Where we,
Well,
Before you go there, it was K to 5. So my question is, because this building is K to 6, would that automatically start to link in 6th grade? Okay, so I just wanted to,
right,
See.
so K to 5, because they're probably thinking traditional middle
Elementary,
schools.
yeah.
Right,
I think we're gonna swallow it as our middle, pre-K to middle school is pre-K to 6. So
Yeah.
we're making
Building
that,
phase.
we've already made that determination as far as anybody else would see. We don't have a middle school, we've got the junior, senior high school. So the 7th and 8th graders get lumped in for high school stuff. So, because we can't really segregate the 7th and 8th graders. So that's how I would think we would have to handle it. But I guess I don't know the specifics on how.
I just wanted,
Yep,
just
to
for myself,
clarify
just to
that.
clarify in terms of building wise, that would be the thought,
Right.
yeah, well, this is, it's considered elementary.
elementary. Mhm.
So we have to wait and see what happens at the vote on Friday. Do you think we will need to have a special meeting to address this if it goes through? Because we're not gonna have a ton of time. I gotta look at the calendar, but I'm not sure will we have enough time to be able to make it happen before,
So I guess, are we doing then, it would be a posted meeting with all of us in it?
so we have the
How does that-
16th and the 30th. So what's today? Today's the 2nd. So I guess we have 2 meetings. I just don't know if we feel like, would that be enough time to be able to make the necessary adjustments? Or do we try to add one in maybe on the 23rd or something, just to try to get
or have it at least tentative there in case we need it.
right?
I don't think we have a meeting on the 30th, right? Because there's 3 Tuesdays
Yeah.
this month, so I don't think
So-
we have it on the 30th.
Oh, that'd be wonderful, because I said the 30th is fine.
We do not, yeah.
I have it. Oh,
That's, I almost wrote you an email to be like, can we switch it to the?
I'm sorry. I stand corrected. So I have the 2nd and the 16th.
Correct.
Right,
And then, so our next meeting is the 16th.
which is, I think.
Right after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and plenty of,
Plenty of time.
yeah.
We have enough time that if we decide to,
Well-
we can do it over email and make a
Mhm.
decision to post it, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't know that it necessarily has to be, I think it will have to be posted, but I don't know if it's just gonna be a school committee meeting or if there's gonna be executive
So-
session meetings or all sorts of other meetings that need to happen. But I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us if this goes through.
Well, so this vote is the 5th.
I believe that's the board,
That's the Board of Education meeting, but I don't know.
And it's supposed to go into effect on April 5th.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
to give us 1 month.
that gives us 1 month to make
Well,
everything.
does it have to go in effect on the 5th, or I thought, that it was beginning the 5th? I thought that when I read it,
I think it's like a switch
It-
flips,
it
like you're
was-
supposed to be making major
So the
progress
fifth
as
is for
of
just
that day.
elementary.
I believe
It is.
you start with elementary,
Okay.
yes.
So the question on the table here, whether we need to have another meeting set up the week of the 8th. 'Cause we're not meeting again until the 6th.
Well, I was thinking like the week of the 22nd, so we have more time to plan. So we have our, so the vote's gonna be on the 5th. We have a meeting on the 16th, so that give us, a good amount of time.
But are you saying you want a
But
meeting with all
When
the
you talk about a
stakeholders?
lot of work to do, what are you,
Well, I'm thinking that it's like making sure that we've got people on board, making sure that we can accommodate this, that we can,
so you're gonna need negotiation time. That's what you're gonna.
well, but don't we also have to still get things through with the Board of Health?
Right, but I think that's not gonna, I mean, if it's an
Yes.
edict from,
Baker is above our local Board of Health.
Right.
So that's where that line also lies is,
And right now, it's just the elementary, so it would be a little easier because it's the elementary that's being focused on at this.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I'm just gonna say it. I think if we're doing part of it, we're gonna do all of it. I'm not gonna, I want to make, I'd like the district, if this is coming at us, I don't want just the elementary kids to be coming back.
well,
I'd
the
like-
reason that they're focusing on elementary is those are the kids that they're finding are less susceptible or less likely to pass it on. That's why
Right.
they're not focusing on the upper grades that are
Right,
more
right.
adult-like bodies, more, so that is
yeah,
something I'd be thoughtful of.
We can be thoughtful of it, but I'm saying it here now that I would like us to try to figure out how to, I don't want to leave the stone unturned is what I'm saying. I don't know what it leads for us, but we're a small enough district that it's going to be a massive impact if only half the kids are coming back because we're almost like 50-50. So I'm just,
well, we have to wait and find out what ends up being,
Right, what the guidance is.
right, and then we go from there.
so, I mean, we don't know what we don't know yet. This is a lot of speculation. I'm glad we're having this very open dialogue. I appreciate it. I think everyone appreciates it. I think we need to do that, but I don't know what I don't know. I don't think any of us have any idea what else is coming.
I think there's so much that is unknown with this. All we can say is, right, like we're open to it. We're planning, right now we're
Right.
having these pre-discussions, but we can't say, yeah, like we're going to go full steam ahead because we don't know it yet. But we're
Yeah, we don't
obviously
know what,
having those conversations. So to say that we're open to it, of course, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but we're going to be open to complying to the commissioner's
right,
guidance. I think that just needs to be said. It's not like
right.
we're gonna be.
All right, anything else on this topic? It's really like, I feel like this is the meat of our meeting tonight, but I'm sure we could speak hours and hours and hours about this, but is there anything else? Audrey, you look like you've got something to say.
From my eyes? No,
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay, next up is visitors' comments, and I was told that Christy Burnett has something to say and she needs to go first.
Oh, but before she comes in, can we just be mindful that to please start by stating your name and your address?
And I'm gonna run my timer for 3 minutes. Christy, are you there?
Hold on,
Oh, not yet, you're not there.
He waited on letting her.
now she is.
Now she's
Perfect.
there.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Christy Burnett, 80 Pleasant Street in Granby.
How's it going, Christy?
So, I just wanted to say, how happy I am with Leland being back and all the good feedback from his teachers, how well he's doing in just this past week. I'm so excited for him. And my first grader Kalia as well, she's doing great. And Caden's coming in on Monday, and I feel like everything is finally getting back into place. And emotionally, socially, for our kids, it's so important. It's been so emotionally hard on all of them. Never mind, you guys, the teachers, but I feel it's so important to get them all back in, and they've missed out so much. And I know it's obviously going by the rules and regulations, but as a mom, I am happy with how it's opening up so far and how well some of my kids are doing. And I just wanted to make a note of that. Hopefully, if there is an option to go fully in school, we can go with that, because these kids need every bit of learning in person that they can get. That's all.
Thank you.
Heather?
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm Heather Gay, 125 Maximilian Drive. And I just wanted to kind of add my 2 cents about coming back full time. And if, God forbid, we ever went into the red again, that I don't feel that we should be going back to a remote model. So I'm a 4th grade teacher at a Catholic school in Ludlow, and we have made a full return, 5 full days since September without any issues at all. And I know a lot of people say, well, you have small class size. That I have 19 kids in my class every day, and in a building that's 100 years old. And they're 6 feet apart, and it's definitely not ideal. I've got kids up against closets. I've got a kid whose desk is almost out the door. There is no other furniture in the room besides my desk and theirs, and it's certainly not the ideal classroom. But my kids are learning every day. Their social emotional needs are being met. They're going out to recess with each other. They're playing, and they're not falling behind like I saw them fall behind in the spring when we were remote. And what we've learned, and when we first went back, we had no idea what was going to happen either. We were our staff. We were nervous. We didn't know if we were going to be remote in a week and there was going to be a huge outbreak. There never was. And when Ludlow went red, we stayed in. There's 26 kids in our 2nd grade. They take up the whole cafeteria because we eat in our rooms. But the mask wearing and the distancing and the hand washing, and we wash their desks before snack and before lunch and at the end of the day, it's all working. This stuff is working.
Leah fell asleep. Leah fell asleep. Can you put her in bed? Oh my God.
You hear me?
Sorry, Heather, we got you cut off about that.
Oh, that's okay. So what I'm just trying to say is, from a teacher's point of view, and I've been doing this since September, 5 full days, it is working. I did have one of my students test positive. Nobody else in my class did. We haven't, I don't know if you heard me say Ludlow went red. They went remote for months. We never did. The transmission's not happening at school. I think that the kids are actually healthier at school because we're forcing them to wear masks. We're forcing them to stay 6 feet apart. We're washing their hands constantly. I mean, I clean and I teach, and I clean and I teach, and I clean and I teach all day long. But it is really working. And it's hard for me to have my 6th grader and my sophomore haven't been in the building in a year and to go to work every day, and I'm doing it and it's working. And it's hard for me to see them be home and struggle. It's difficult for me. And so I really would encourage that if I don't think we will, I pray we don't go red again, but if we do, we really need to rethink, we're red, oh my gosh, we have to be remote, because on the
Heather, I'm sorry to cut you off. I can give you 30 more seconds to wrap
Okay.
up.
So I would agree with what most people are saying. Emotionally, these kids need to be in school. My sophomore has straight A's. Her mental health has suffered big time. So I would really encourage, let's get them back as fast as we can, as much as we can, full time. I'm excited about Baker's decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Pete?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, perfect. So before I get started, I'm not asking for extra time. I was going to utilize 3 minutes, but I also have some people that wanted to make statements that couldn't be here that my wife was going to read. So is she able to just jump on at the end of mine and utilize 3 minutes that way? Or would you like her to log on to Zoom in another room?
No, I'll allow it, but I need
Okay.
you to identify yourself and your address, please.
I apologize. Peter White, 5 Deerbrook Drive.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Actually, let's have Melanie read first. How's that?
All right, Mel?
Okay, so this first statement is
Hold
from,
on. I need you to identify yourself and your address.
okay,
And-
my name is Melanie White, 5 Deerbrook Drive.
Okay, and then how many statements do you have?
2.
I have 2 statements.
Okay, and so,
And
hold on, I'm gonna say, I'm just looking at the community, is it 3 minutes per statement or?
She needs 2 minutes
Okay,
and I'll be less than 3.
okay, go ahead, Mel.
okay, and this is from Jennifer Bullock. She's also a Granby resident, not sure exactly her address. She put, I am increasingly concerned about the academics and overall well-being for the students and their families, the mental and emotional toll on our kids, the various tolls on the parents, and the possibility of too many students falling behind in the next school year. I am really hoping that regardless of what the weekly COVID report is, that we can still keep our kids in school. We have the standard safeguarding system against COVID within our schools, and all our kids should be there to benefit from it if they choose. I hope that all families will have the choice to send their kids into school without having to wait for their chance to be phased in. I worry that the current phase-in plan is going to hinder the academic and emotional growth for students who have spent little or no time in the schools. And I believe that we need to come up with a new system to prevent any further consequences to them. And that's it.
Next one's
On that
Kelly.
one.
Secret.
The next one is Kelly Seacard. And she states, if you look at all the statistics of Massachusetts schools from September, the eastern part of the state and the central part of the state all have been back in school in cohorts since September, regardless of the cohort or the color the town or city is in. If an individual tested positive in that school, they would shut the school down for the 14 days and go remote, not shut the town down. They shut the school down. If you also look statistically, people are getting COVID outside of the school, not inside of the school. The way that Western Mass has handled the reopening of the schools has completely been handled incorrectly. It's not only just Granby that has done this, it's other schools. I do feel Granby could do better going forward and not shutting down if we go in the red. If you would have looked at the way the rest of Massachusetts did the opening with cohorts, regardless of the color, then our kids would have been back in school in September.
All right, that was Kelly Seacard again. This is Peter White, 5 Deerbrook Drive. I just wanted to start off by saying I'm very happy to see the kids starting to go back to school. I'm excited to get them all phased in. I still believe, though, even though they're getting phased in, we need to make sure that they stay in at all costs. We're going to reiterate that we should be looking at modifying or eliminating this weekly COVID report as a metrics for our kid to be able to attend in person. Of course, you guys just talked about the announcement from Governor Baker. There is, I believe, a lot of excitement in the school community. I think we all understand there's a lot that needs to go with it, and there's a lot that is not known. I, along with everybody else, I'm sure, are very excited to hear what the plan of the committee is going forward. I do support full-time school in person. If that's 4 days a week with 1 day off, so be it. But I believe we should still have an option for those that do not feel comfortable and want to utilize a remote system. The article stated they wanted to start with elementary schools. Again, I'm going to piggyback Jen. We're a small school system. I really believe we could together have both schools work on this at the same time. The science shows it's safe for our kids to be there. Someone mentioned, actually, Jen, you mentioned there's just as many people that want to stay home as those that want to go in full time. If there's that many people that want to stay home, there should be plenty of room for the rest of us to send our kids full-time in person. I know there's a lot of other things that go with that, and I can appreciate the effort that you guys are putting in with it. All both sides want is the choice to stay home or go remote. Right now, only one side is getting that choice. At the end of the comments last week, I was very disappointed for a community member to say, if people feel like they're not being heard, then why are this only the same 2 or 3 people talking at the school committee each week? There's a ton of people, and I'm going to read it, there's a ton of people that feel like they are not being heard. They're not being listened to. And I just hope, there's a bunch of people on here that want to speak. A lot of people didn't know that they could speak at the school committee meetings. A lot of people didn't know how to get on to the school committee meetings.
30
So
seconds, Pete.
I'm sorry?
30 seconds.
All right. I just on a close, I just want to again reiterate how disappointing I was. I just received a message from someone that was listening to the school committee meeting before it started. You guys were unmuted. Pretty much the message that I received was someone walked in and said, "Hey guys, just so you know, there's 30 people calling in to complain about our last meeting."
That was
Then
me.
someone else said, "Like I have no problem being a B, I'm running a 90-minute sleep." That is a perfect example of why people do not feel comfortable to call in and feel like they're not being heard. I hope that stays on the YouTube video and everybody can see it starting at 6:20 and forward. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Okay, Jason?
Can you hear me?
You can. Please identify yourself and give your address.
I sure will. Jason, 26 Porter Street, last name shouts enough. Thank you for your time. Appreciate everyone's busy schedules. And I heard in the beginning how busy everyone has been and how much extra, I think, is an understatement, right? This pandemic has caused you all. I have to say directly, though, I don't think we're making sound decisions. We keep saying, and I heard on this call for the last hour about the commissioner and the governor and the Board of Health, and we have to wait and see, we have to wait and see. And actually, it's the school committee who gets to make all the choices. And we have only a few groups back to school, and I know we have more cohorts coming, but the pace of the cohorts and the unrelated nature of those state maps to our school community, we are now in the yellow as a town, and we've had more COVID-19 emails in the last 3 weeks than we had when we were in the red from the school community. It just proves to show you that we're not following the science. I think we're following the fear and the fear of liability, which is why I think certain groups have always been back at school. There's liability issues, there's teacher union issues, and there's decision issues. And I just want to say, I think it was reiterated by Pete and some other folks that they read, we need the right and the choice to be back to school. And it's actually your choice, no one else's, with recommendations from Board of Health that you have to listen to or not listen to. So Connecticut, all my in-laws in school, full year, no outbreaks. This is a flu. It is a devastating virus for those who are immunosuppressed and above the age of 65. There's no doubt of that. We've lost family members, one from suicide and one from the virus itself. So nobody's been immune from this. But I do have to say that I don't think we should be commending each other at the job we're doing, because we should all be back in school. I think Heather Gay had it right. Those Catholic schools, you should look at the other models. I don't know how much time you have to dedicate to this job, but we should look at the other models that are already back in school, and we should be working towards that model. I know that's not everyone's opinion. I think there's a right for people to be full-time remote, and there's a right for people to be full-time in school. We are getting dealt sort of an in-between, which feels the pinch, and you guys feel the pinch because nobody's happy, because you have all these subgroups. So I commend you for signing up for your job. I'm sure it's not what you thought it would be, given that there probably wasn't a pandemic when you were voted in, although some of you are new to the board, and I wish you luck. But I think at some point we have to get to a decision and either put it back on the population to vote the school community population, or you guys make that decision. March 8th and March 22nd for 2 more classes and 3 more classes just isn't fast enough. And again, 2 days in school, 3 days out of school, bring your computer to school, bring your computer home. It's not ideal. The social, emotional issues that the families are dealing with. Just to leave you with this, and I know it'll resonate with the board, 2.4 million women have had to leave the workforce in the last year alone to take care of their kids because of decisions like this, because they can't.
Jason,
Not-
2 seconds.
Okay, well, there's really no other decision other than to enable you guys to make the next step and to get everybody back to school. So thank you for what you do.
Okay, Mike Simpson. Mike, you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can. Oh, is it Michelle?
Yes,
Hi, please identify yourself and give your address, please.
sure. Michelle Simpson, Porter Street. So I want to thank you guys. As you know, my husband was in that position and it is not an easy position. And I want to thank you for your time and your commitment. But I also have to agree with Jason, Peter, and Heather. We really need to get our kids back to school. The emotional toll on them and us is just, it doesn't have to be this way. Those who don't want their kids back in school, they have that option to keep their kids out. Those of us who have been completing the surveys saying that we want our kids back, we don't have that choice. We are being stopped with bringing our kids back to school. I mean, we really need to get them in there. And we would even sign a waiver, just holding nobody accountable, just to get our kids back to school where they belong, with their friends and social and emotional, and with the teachers, because they're falling behind a lot. And I watch it every day here. And please, if they do go red again, please get the kids in and keep them in. So that's my word.
Thank you. Jeff?
Okay, I got it from the panelists.
Okay. Jeff, are you there?
Jeff Mislack, 268 Bachelor Street.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello. I'm addressing the committee tonight because at the last school committee meeting, there were several parents who made statements representing the unheard portion of the community, requesting that the hybrid school model be made available on an accelerated timeline as compared to the current plan. Only to be frustratingly told by the committee, this is the first we've heard of this. Why don't parents speak out more? And it's not just you, it's a community decision, amongst other dismissive statements. Over the last year, we've completed several surveys put out by the school committee. I understand not all opinions, thoughts, and ideas provided in response to these surveys can be accommodated, but I did consider at the time the survey feedback to be a satisfactory means of communicating to the school committee. Those who have gone heard are part of the community, and providing both virtual and in-person learning is not mutually exclusive. I appreciate there's a balancing act between all interested parties that comprise our community, but far too frequently there's an externality whose importance is artificially escalated above the importance of students. Under the COVID-19 paradigm, every subset of students in our community, except for one, has been accommodated from the perspective of having available their desired learning method. Students have been able to homeschool, transfer to either in-person private or other in-person public schools, or willfully remain remote in the Granby public school system. A group of students who are part of this community and desire to best achieve their educational goals by attending in-person school in accordance with state health guidelines have been left behind. I find remote learning, while a great option to have available, to be an overall substandard and inferior educational product as compared to in-person learning. I'm cautiously optimistic about the recent state plan to open schools to in-person learning 5 days a week in April. But even absent this plan, I would still implore this committee to immediately pursue the availability of in-person learning 5 days a week for the remaining 3.5 months of the school year. From the school committee's policies, Section B, Governance and Operations document, it states, primary responsibility is to establish those purposes, programs, and policies that will best produce the educational achievement needed by our students. Unfortunately, the hard work of this committee is not meeting that stated responsibility for all students. There is a portion of students that are woefully underrepresented, and that is a subset of students who best produce their educational achievement through in-person learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Janice?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Please identify yourself with your address.
Yep, will do. So Janice Kovich, and I live on Chicopee Street in Granby, and I have been a part of this town for 11 years. And I am here to state that we need to open the schools with a higher level of urgency. I am not very optimistic that the children will return to school by the end of March, as stated by the committee, due to the fact that I have a first grader, sixth grader, and 12th grader. My first grader has attended school or been allowed to attend school 8 days since September. That is it. I feel that the need to move towards full time needs to be with full force, not just caution. If Bay State Hospital can screen everyone that comes in their doors, we should be able to do the same. Take temperatures as coming in, put up an infrared camera that alerts if someone's temperature is over a set level. Hampshire County is the 4th lowest level in the state for deaths up through March 2nd. And that's as of today. I went on to the CDC. Less than 5 people have passed in our town. The highest at-risk categories are already vaccinated if they chose to. If not, they're still on the list and will be in the next couple of weeks. The age groups of 0 to 19 in all of 2020 in this state, less than 5 have passed from March 10th of last year through 12/31. Governor Charlie Baker calls for the full-time learning by April. Students are losing academically and emotionally. Remember, these kids will be running our country. We need to have the option as parents to make the choice to keep our child home doing remote learning or to send them to school. The CDC stress transmission is not increased by schools being open. Everyone's physical and emotional health has negatively been impacted, which we will not see the full extent of this impact for many years to come. The children of our future that are the least likely to get the virus deserve to be given priority. They have been put on the back burner long enough. Our kids, parents, teachers, and staff are imperative to our future. And now working in a school has the risk of vulnerability, all of us do, to many things. I mean, we consistently have to deal with things such as colds, flu, lice, the potential of getting meningitis. Accessibility of our kids going back to school could mean more vape products available, as well as other terrible things. But that's the reality. We all have the right to freedom of speech, as well as the right to make the best decisions for our children and families. The measurements used to assess if the students can return to school are too stringent. It leaves most of the state in the position to stay remote. Even my first grader has only been to attend school 8 days this entire year. Every time we thought she was going back, oh no, now back to remote. The attention.
This is your 3-minute mark. I'll give you 15 more seconds, okay?
Okay, the attention span of a 7-year-old is 14 to 21 minutes. How can you expect them to be in front of a computer? I hope that what I have reviewed will be taken into consideration for all of our well-beings, not just immediately, but also for our future.
Thank you, Janice. I don't know. I think it says cross or crass. I can't. It's kind of blurry. I don't have my glasses on. I'm fogging up. I apologize. Cross.
I got from the panelists.
Oh, you're still on mute. Hold on one second. I can. Please make sure to identify yourself along with your address.
Eileen Cross, 129 Pleasant Street.
Thank you.
I would first like to say on how really disturbed I was in watching the meeting actually 2 weeks ago. The way that parents' voices were just disregarded on the petition that Peter White sent out. I look at my 8-year-old every day when I put my 5-year-old on the bus and I have to look at her face, and she cries on a weekly basis that she wants to go to school. She doesn't have that choice because it just keeps getting put off. And I'm just holding my breath, waiting to see if she's going to get put off again next week, because this has been going on since September. Also, it just seems like we're getting guidance that from the governor, the CDC, and it just doesn't seem like anyone's listening to what they have to say. We're a small town. We should be able to open these schools up full time. I don't understand what the holdup is. I work in healthcare. I've seen this hit the hardest place in our community. We can get past this. These children do not pass this on. We've seen this. I don't understand why no one else can see this. I also would like to say, moving forward, this COVID is not going anywhere. We need to make sure that we can open these schools up full time, keep them open full time, and move forward. And lastly, I also want to say I was the one that came on early. I heard what you guys said when you were unmuted. I find it very disturbing because my 8-year-old was walking by, and to hear bleep, I've only had 90 minutes of sleep. I think it's a little inappropriate for a school committee member to be saying anything like that in our school system, in our library. Thank you very much.
I didn't say that.
I'm just going to address that last thing that you said. So I apologize because I'm the one that said we were going to be lambasted by 30 people. And it was, let me finish, please. Excuse me, let me finish just a moment. That was my way of venting, because to me, these all feel like personal attacks because I am putting my blood, sweat, and tears into these. So I apologize from the bottom of my heart because it was never my intention. And the person that said she had 90 minutes of sleep, she didn't swear. I will defer to you. However, her house was practically destroyed in the windstorm last night, and she didn't get much sleep. She texted me at 5:30 this morning with a picture of a tree through her roof, a tree destroyed her pool, a tree destroyed her shed, and a tree destroyed her hot tub. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on, and I apologize that we thought we were off camera. We've learned our lesson. I know I have. I know that there's cases in the news where people have had to resign because of things that were said when we thought the camera was muted. I never thought we would be in that position, but it was truly not meant to be disrespectful. So I'm going to apologize for that. And I don't feel that it was harsh enough that anyone's going to be calling for my resignation over it. It was a moment of stress relief for us because these meetings are stressful. And I truly appreciate all of your comments, and I appreciate everyone's comments that are on here. And it's very hard to sit here and listen it's not just you. I believe you said your name was Ivy. I'm sorry, what?
It's Eileen.
Eileen, I apologize. But to everyone's here, I take these personally because that's the kind of person that I am. And I don't like that people think we're not doing a good enough job.
I
So
didn't say you were doing a good job. I said that you just don't want to listen to the parents that are saying, when we hear these comments saying, we're all in this together, you're not in this together when I see my kids failing at home because they cannot act like normal children because they can't go to school. They can't see their teachers. They can't see their peers. They can't go and play in a playground. These kids are being hurt socially, emotionally, and it's going to affect them in the future.
So Eileen, I'm gonna also make sure that you know that you can reach out to Carol Hepworth and also Megan Shephart. She's our Director of Pupil Services. If your children are having a hard time, we've been saying right along that we would make concessions to get kids in that are having a tough time. So I would implore you to please reach out to Carol or to Megan Shephart. If you need an email, you can email me directly and I will forward them to you. And let's see if we can help make the situation better for you. And I want you to understand that I am listening to you, and I'm not only listening, but I'm hearing you.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say because I'm too angry right now after hearing the beginning of this meeting, and I don't think I can listen to this anymore. And this is the problem why the parents get so frustrated listening to these meetings over and over and over again, and they're not being heard. So thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, Katie?
I got the word panelists again.
Katie, are you there? Oh, you're still muted.
Okay.
So your name and address.
Yep. So it's Katie. We're at on North Street in Granby. So I'm going to kind of give you a slightly different perspective. I'm actually a healthcare worker, and I have been through this entire thing. Since the beginning, I've been treating patients hands-on with every single patient that I treat for 30 minutes. Typically, we see about 12 patients a day, and that's and there's 5 different clinics. And there's been multiple times where therapists have treated patients who've ultimately tested positive. So I guess what I'm really trying to express here is that across 5 clinics, multiple therapists, 3 to 6 therapists in each clinic, seeing 12 patients a day each, which rotates about every month. The only thing we're doing different is we're wearing masks with every patient. We clean all the materials in our workspace between every patient. But we're unable to maintain the 6 feet of different distance. So that's really the only difference between what we're able to do and what I feel that the schools and the kids can do by going in person full-time 5 days. You know, I don't know if, you know, there's other healthcare workers out there, you know, that have sort of seen some of this. I've treated patients that have been on a vent from COVID for over a month. I've treated those patients. I know exactly what it does. I'm completely aware. But in terms of the evidence, it's extremely low, the transmissions for children. So I truly think that the kids can be in person 4 or 5 days, whatever it be, if you need that day, you know, in the middle to clean. But I think, you know, the kids are having a tough time, my kids included, socially, emotionally. It's entirely too much screen time for a 1st grader. It's entirely too much screen time for a 5th grader. So that's kind of my 2 cents from, you know, a healthcare perspective, who's kind of been in the thick of it this entire time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie? Oh, I wanted Jackie LaPointe.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can. Jeremy, please identify yourself with name and address.
Jeremy LaPointe, 70 Chicopee Street. All right, parents, 6th grader, Madeline, eighth grader Logan. It's been a frustrating year to say the least. You guys know that. Our feelings about our children going back to in-person learning is a no-brainer. The statistics on their safety is undeniable. Parochial schools have been back to in-person learning since the beginning of the year with little to no incidents. On the other hand, the statistics on keeping our children out of in-person learning and away from their peers is much more dangerous. Alcoholism, domestic abuse, anxiety, depression, even suicide, on average, are up over 500%. That's just here in Massachusetts. I want the school administration, the Granby Health Department, the teachers union, and all the teachers to know the most important thing to me as a parent is the safety of my children, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. So since we know our children are in no danger from COVID itself, I propose that we change the protocol from 6 feet social distancing to 3 foot social distancing, and we ignore the red-yellow status while using logic and reasoning rather than bending to the will of the teachers union. I'd say if you want to stay home, then stay home. But if we want our children to go back, that should be our decision to make. The solution is very clear. We want our children back in school 5 days a week, learning with their peers. Another thing that I wanted to add is my wife read a book called Glow Kids. And I think everyone should probably, if you're a parent and your kids are on these tablets and these computers all the time, you should take the chance to take the time to read this, because it basically goes into the science behind all the screen time and it's detrimental. We're gonna melt our kids' brains. Part of the book touched on Bill Gates himself, the owner of Google, Microsoft, the guy that's huge behind all this stuff, the guy that made billions of dollars selling all kinds of tablets to all these schools and computers to all these schools with stolen tax dollars. He didn't let his kids have as much screen time because he knew how detrimental it was. The fact that our kids are on these screens for so many hours a day it's disgusting. Like I watch my son go on in the morning, and within 10, 15 minutes, he's back off and he's like, oh, I already did my work. Like this education, I mean, it's a joke. And we shouldn't sugarcoat what's going on here. This year is like a year that never happened. I don't think my kids are progressing in any positive ways when it comes to learning anything this year. I think we all should be ashamed that we swallowed the pill so quickly, and all right, and that we were willing to go along with it. I talked with people from other towns, and they're all shocked that we're still, doing this learning at home. There's a better option. We know what it is. Our kids aren't in danger. It's time to send our kids back full time, like right now. We don't need to wait any longer. That's my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
See you, Jen. Bye, staff.
Okay. Stephanie Vincelette.
Hello. Stephanie Vincelette, 117 Maximilian Drive. I have 2 children who attend East Meadow. One is in 1st grade and has returned in person, another in 4th who's scheduled to return on Monday. I obviously agree with everything everyone has said so far and want my kids back in school. I mean, I honestly think we all do. My comment is a little bit different. While it's obviously so great to have my 1st grader back in school 2 days a week, I want to comment and bring forward and make you on the school committee aware of my concern regarding the hybrid model structure, specifically the remote instruction. On my 1st grader's 2 remote days home, she is completely independent aside from a morning meeting and a math lesson. She has a stack of worksheets to complete or online assignments to do. As a 6-year-old who is just learning to read, that means she needs an adult to sit with her all day and provide instruction and explanation of the assignments. As a working parent, this is impossible. My issue with this is a different grade 1 teacher is live streaming her class to her remote students all day. Those students are receiving live instruction, modeling of assignments, and are not quote unquote on their own. Trust me when I say I appreciate all of the hard work that the teachers are putting in, and I realize this is hard for us all. I have expressed these concerns and questions to the school and have not received a response back yet. I just feel like there shouldn't be that much of a difference between learning within the same grade level. It doesn't feel like equal education for the students in the class. What are the expectations? What are the requirements? I know there is some time standard for synchronous instruction that is supposed to be met. This is just one of the reasons why, again, I agree with everyone saying we need to get these kids back in full-time with the priority on the youngest grades first. Thank you.
Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind, would you send me an email or forward me the email, and I'll see what I can do to find out where we are with that?
I absolutely can.
It's J Bartos, B-A-R-T as in Tom, O, S as in Sam, Z as in zebra, at GranbySchoolsMA.net.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Can you hear me?
I can, Steve. Please identify yourself with name and address.
Steve Goodheim, Bachelor Street.
Thank you.
Good evening. I want to start by addressing the inaccurate comment referenced by Adam during last meeting. When Pete White discussed 300 parents on a petition, we, the silent majority, bring concerns to certain people to have them voiced, not overloading the system during the meeting. Why have people repeatedly say the same thing over and over again? I also understand that it's not so easy when you have the Board of Health, you have a teachers union, and you have a committee that all have to make decisions. And you also have an administration that have to work together. But I would like to see the spacing inside the classrooms be 3 feet. I understand that the students are supposed to wear masks all day long. I'm hoping we can revisit this with the Board of Health and make this happen. I would also like to reiterate Heather's point. The kids are cleaner when they're in school. I'm a teacher at Smith Vocational High School in Northampton. Granby is one of our sending districts, and we receive kids from all over the place. We've been in class, we've been in school since September, and we have the occasional positive test here and there. But one of the biggest metrics we go by is in-school transmission, and not having that pass throughout the school or not having it pass throughout the shops is very important. And that's the metric that we go by. With the cleaning procedures that we follow, with all the COVID safety protocols that we follow, there has been hardly any transmission student to student. And these are high school students that, well, I mean, we all know what high school students do. So, and especially in a shop atmosphere. I would like to see the students go back full time. I understand that it's not as easy, it's easier said than done, but I would like to see the students go back full time in Granby. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Katie Walker.
Can you hear me?
I can. Please identify yourself with name and address.
My name's Katie Walker. I'm at 640 Britton Street in Chicopee. I'm a school choice family.
Thank you.
I have a student in 3rd grade and 11th. They each have ADHD and learning difficulties. My husband works full-time, and thankfully I'm able to work remotely, but still full-time. This has been a very difficult time to manage remote school and work. Having an elementary student and a high schooler, their schedules are different, and they each need to be reminded of class times and when to log on. This takes away from my work, which has been sporadic for the past year, making it so I have to put in hours in the evening and after school. My daughter has difficulty reading. Not all of the lessons and instructions are easy for her to read. Therefore, I have to read to her and help her regularly. I do appreciate the extra help sessions the school provides, but it hasn't been enough for her to be independent. Not to mention, never using a computer before, she struggles with technology. They are told to toggle between screens and go between classrooms, and it has been overwhelming to her. She gets very frustrated when the teacher cannot hear her and technology fails. It is overwhelming to her when other children's computers are loud or static. Our relationship has been strained because I want her to do well, and she is frustrated and overwhelmed. She has actually said she hates school now. She benefits from student-teacher interaction and peer-to-peer interaction for all sorts of reasons, from learning to behavior and for communicating outside the family. My high schooler also struggles with school. And before COVID, we stressed less screen time, when now they are in their rooms doing live sessions and then in their rooms doing homework. They are so isolated. They get upset, they get depressed, and then they want to give up. Again, we are the only ones helping them, so it tends to create a bit of hostility. I depended on teachers to be their outside objective support person, which is why they need to get back into the classroom. I appreciate all of the teachers' efforts. I understand that it is difficult for them as well. This is new for all of us. But as we all know, it is a fact that children rarely get COVID. And if they do, it is asymptomatic. It is a fact that there is more spread in the community than in schools. It is a fact that private schools are operating safely and have been the entire time. Masks work, distancing works. We are also a smaller school. Why can't we get back to the classroom where children loved learning and their mental health was not compromised? I have seen too many tears, too much anxiety, and some depression. Our children need teachers, need children, need structure. Here's something my daughter said on the way to pick up a packet at school. Mom, I miss the drive to school. I miss waiting in the parking lot with you listening to music. I miss getting in line and running up to the sidewalk to go into school. I miss everyone. Please consider this petition and let's get them all back in school, in person, and full time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Papano? Papano? I apologize, probably got it wrong. Jennifer, if you're there, you're still on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Please identify yourself with name and address.
Jennifer Papano, 25 Parish Hill Road here in Granby. So I'm not going to take up a ton of time. I know a lot of parents have spoken today and they've spoken what a lot of us are feeling. But after the last school committee meeting, I did reach out to Carol as well as the school committee. I felt that Peter's comments were dismissed. And I by no means mean this as an attack on the school committee. That is not what is intended here. But I just am begging the school committee to really, really carefully consider getting our children back in school. I think as Jeff and Jason and Peter all stated, the statistics are showing that in-school transmission is low. Our kids are benefiting from being back in the classroom. I have a first grader who spent 8 days in the classroom, but I can already tell you that the days that he is in school, behavior is just better. I think, you know, I don't envy, and I think I said this in my email to you all as well and to Audrey, I don't envy the position you all are in. I know this must be incredibly difficult. And Jen, I know you said this felt like a personal attack to have 30 parents coming in and wanting to speak, but I think we are here because we do want our voices heard, and we thought that the petition was going to do that. So that was my intent for speaking tonight. I just wanted everyone to kind of hear from another parent, we want our kids in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Carmody.
Are you able to
Michelle?
hear me?
I can. Please identify yourself with name and address.
Yep, I am Michelle Carmody at 501 East State Street. I just wanted to, talk to you guys. It was really upsetting last meeting when Adam had said that not all the parents were talking up and speaking up. I am the first person who is the worst person in the world to be a public speaker or to talk to anyone. If anybody knows me, which a few of you on the school committee do, and I thank you guys for all of your hard work, know me, I have a mouth. Not always is it filtered or good. So Peter being rational, understanding was the best route for me personally to go, where he was saying everything that I wanted to say, but saying it polite, politically correct, and appropriate. For me personally, I have an 8-year-old in 3rd grade and a 14-year-old freshman. My freshman goes to Southwick as a school choice because of her IEP. She has been in school almost this whole time in September, since September, 5 days a week. It is so heartbreaking to tell my 8-year-old, no, Abs, I'm sorry, your sister can go to school, but you can't. But Mom, I want to go and see my friends. I get that, and I feel bad for her. But, my only saving grace with this child is that she goes to Children's First. She has Donna and all of those amazing teachers on her side. And with the mask, which all of us thought the kids weren't going to be able to do, they're doing great. There's 26 of them, students, in that school age area. With their separation and their distance, they haven't gotten COVID. They haven't had any problems. They disinfect. They do their hand sanitizing. No parents go in. The teachers, the directors, and the parents, we all talk to each other. We do a survey every morning. We make sure that no one has COVID. No one's been around COVID. If your kid has the sniffles, you do the smart thing. You don't send them in. And you're like, okay, well, it was just a cold. They'll go back now. With communication, it can be done. These kids need to be with each other. They need to be with their teachers. These teachers, I can't even imagine the struggle that they have trying to teach kids, especially younger ones, through a computer. That's got to be the hardest thing in the world. My child never needed ADHD meds. Now that she's remote learning, she needed ADHD meds. And another thing, she has been so depressed and things have happened that we had to throw her into emergency therapy for reasons that I'm not going into full details for, but nothing that an 8-year-old should have ever had come out of her mouth, which was absolutely heartbreaking. Please, I beg you guys to let these kids go back in person. They need it. They need their teachers. They need the structure. They need the principals. They need the nurse. They need recesses. They need getting hurt, getting in trouble. They need it all. They need to be with everyone. I have a 97-year-old man living in my house, and it is completely fine. Abby goes to Children's First 5 days a week and has been since August. Nothing has come home with COVID. He hasn't gotten any colds, any flu, any symptoms, and their rooms are right across the hall from each other. And she is with people all the time. Please, if you guys could do anything, just let these kids go back to being kids. They need it more than we need to be adults sitting in front of a computer with them. They need to be able to be good adults like we are now. We were in school. We got dirty. We got hurt. We got in trouble. We got bad grades, good grades, on a roll, not on a roll. We all learned it.
30 seconds.
I just beg you guys, please let these kids go back in person. And I appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing, but please let them go.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't know how to say this next one. Is it Celtrex? Sealtrex? I apologize. I'm butchering your last name, or it could be your first name.
My first name's Kenneth and my last name's Crowley. It's just my handle name. Sorry.
So, please identify yourself, name and address.
All right. My name's Kenneth Crowley, 23 East Street, Granby. All right. I've listened to a lot of people talk today, and this is my first ever meeting on this. And to be honest, look, guys, this pandemic has been crazy for all of us. For us to put blame on the school system or, oh, gee, I heard something before the meeting started, that's not what this is about. All right. What this is about our children. Okay. And to be honest with you, some people can say children are low categories, whatever. But until your kid gets this, I'm sorry, you're going to be really upset when they do. Okay. Now, I took the survey. My choice was to keep my kid at home because, quite frankly, she's excelling at the home learning. Quite frankly, she's getting hundreds and everything. But the problem with the home learning, if she stays in it now, is that she won't have as much work with the teacher if she decides to stay in for the rest of the year. So it leaves us with no choice but to send her back on Monday, Tuesday. She's a 4th grader. But the thing is that kids at home that do choose this because of safety and the fear of something happening, should be able to get the same education as people at the school. Now, I've heard of certain classrooms being able to do that exactly with video chat going while teaching the class at school. Quite frankly, in my opinion, I think teachers have had a break. And the reason why I think that is because with the home learning, which I'm sure all parents have noticed, they get about maybe an hour, hour and a half interaction with the teacher and then are given a packet of work. And several times my daughter has missed that, which is, it's what it's been. But the governor has stated that we have to do 5 days a week by April 1st. So even giving the parents a choice to keep their kid out of school at the end of the year, they can't. So my opinion on this is you guys got to get your stuff together. You guys got to work at it and figure out how this is going to be done. As far as social distancing and masks go, guys, it's got to be done. You can't be minusing it to 3 feet because you think it'll be better for someone else or for a kid. I get it. But, as parents, I hear a lot of complaints how their kids aren't doing well or work and whatnot. It's been the same for me. I work full-time at Smith & Wesson. My wife works full-time at Smith & Wesson. We show up at home. We help our kid. We play with our kid. We do what we can. But she knows, and she has told us as a responsible kid at 9 years old, that she has to do this to protect her aunt. Her aunt's 73. She has to do this to protect the family. So what this is about, guys, isn't about.
Mr. Crowley, is it Kenneth? Ken?
Yep.
10 seconds.
Okay. What this is about is not blame. What this is about is our children. So, think for a second on safety. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
We're going to go with Matt Mashazik because Janice already spoke once, and we'll come back to you after.
Hello, how are you? Matt Mashazik, 16 Green Meadow Lane. Everyone hear me? Yeah, all right. Just making sure you can hear me. So I want to thank everybody on the school committee. I want to thank parents for their patience. I want to thank teachers for their patience. I do feel kids should be going back to school. I also understand the hybrid model. The kids haven't been given a choice to do anything. They've just been told what to do. They're the only group in all this mess that have not had a say in anything they can do. And the same goes for the teachers. We've just kind of thrown kids into this model, and we've also thrown teachers into this model. Some work is harder, some work is easier. Both my kids are accelerating at it. It's fine with me. Teachers need more tools. This hybrid model is not going to go anywhere. I work at UMass Amherst. I've been invited to the technology admin meeting tomorrow to hopefully give some of my professional advice on how to better utilize technology in the classroom. I'm sure there's grant money. I'm sure there's existing equipment. We're doing things at UMass for literally pennies to do remote learning. And I also understand remote learning is not going anywhere. It's going to be here for a while. So the hybrid model is, and I don't think in the beginning, a lot of parents quite understood this. If you want your kid to go to school, you go to school. If you want your kids to stay home, they stay home. We need to allow the teachers to teach with technology where they are teaching virtually in the classroom to the kids remotely, as if the kids remotely are in the classroom. It has to be a better model. It can't just be a laptop in front of a face. Hopefully, I'm going to be presenting some stuff to the tech admins tomorrow. Hopefully that helps things. This ain't going anywhere. I want the kids back in school. Trust me. I want to give my wife a break. She's pulling her hair out. I'm lucky. I get to go to work. And I think a lot of fingers need to be pointed also at the Board of Health. If no one's watched Board of Health committee meetings, it's a joyride. You should give it a shot. You can crack open a cold one and have a good time. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, Janice?
I just wanted to say that I know that everyone's been working hard and that all of you did not choose to be involved during this time of the pandemic. So you're probably being given one of the most difficult things to be challenged with of any group of committee members in many, many, many years. So, you know, try. I know it's hard. I take things personally too, but try really hard. I know it's hard to not take it personally, just that, you know, everyone is trying to share their opinions. And even me, I know over the last year, I've tried to attend a meeting or two, and I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't feel it was a very open scenario. So I would just like to ask the committee to try to look at that going forward, how you can make the citizens, the people of the town feel more comfortable to speak at these meetings. That's it. But good work.
Thank you. I am going to address that last comment. We, and please don't take this personally because it's not meant in a derogatory way, but we are governed by open meeting law. We chose to add visitor comments, and I say we as the collective we, Granby School Committee, before my time here, chose to add visitor comments as a way to connect with the people. However, when we listen to the comments, it does not mean that we have the ability to act momentarily or at a moment's notice. There are many players that are that also have a say. So I hope that people feel that they were heard tonight. We've spent an hour listening to comments. I know that for me personally, this has probably been one of the hardest hours I've had on the committee, because I don't want anyone to feel that we're taking any of our job lightly. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that we're not at liberty to discuss. And it's not as simple as saying we want the kids to come back, because a lot of parents want their kids to come back. And by the way, I'm one of those parents. I want my kids to come back, but like Emery would tell me constantly, is I need to wear my school committee hat when I'm sitting here. So sometimes there are things that are going on that make you look at decisions and make you look at things differently. I do feel badly that people think that we were dismissive to the petition 2 weeks ago. I don't know what we could have said or done that would be an instant impact. I don't know that I'm not sure even how to say this. I don't think that we would ever be able to, just because a petition was brought to us, change our mode of learning on a moment's notice. And I appreciate the petition. It scares the heck out of me, actually, because there were some comments made on Facebook and things about class action lawsuits and legal action against us as a school committee and against us as a district. That's terrifying to me, because that's my name. That's my work. So I do appreciate everyone taking the time to talk to us tonight. I don't really know how to move forward. I mean, I know that we have the rest of our business meeting here, and I don't want to be dismissive, but we need to go on with the rest of our agenda. I think everyone has heard what you're all saying. I think that there's a lot of people in this room that feel the same way. I think there's a lot of people that are listening that maybe disagree with some of the things that were said. And I'll open it up to the floor if anyone has anything else that they would like to say. And then I think we need to move on.
So Jen, I just want to echo what you're saying, and certainly appreciate parents voicing their concerns and their opinions, because, you know, as a parent, you're your child's biggest advocate. And, you know, it's not easy to, you know, speak up at a meeting, and these meetings certainly probably aren't the warm and fuzzy nurturing places where parents feel like they have that opportunity to do so. it is a different experience when you're taking that opportunity to voice your opinion in this setting. So, if anyone has ideas of what that could feel like, certainly reach out in terms of how to make this more open or more welcoming, because we still have to operate within the guidance and guidelines of an open meeting. But that doesn't mean that we're not open to considering other thoughts or other opinions. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that, as tough as that is to hear and as hard as it is to hear that people and parents might feel like we're not hearing them or not considering what their opinions are, that, we think we certainly are, and we are working really hard. I know I'm very new to this, so I'm going to just kind of include myself in that, kind of hitting the ground and running. But again, just what Jen said is it's not easy to kind of make changes immediately, even based on very persuasive and informative feedback. But it is heard, and we do hear you loud and clear, and we certainly are trying our best to take that information and move forward.
And to piggyback off of that's been a discussion we've had for a couple of years now. I mean, I started attending school committee meetings over 2 years ago, and I remember talking the same way, like we felt like we weren't being heard, that we didn't have enough chance to provide feedback, and they'd watch a whole meeting and I'd feel riled up, and then the meeting ended, and then I'd have to wait 2 weeks before I wanted to share unless I wrote an email. So, I mean, we talked at some point about having a Dropbox that people could put comments in after the meeting that we could potentially read, but now we're doing remote, which we're back to in person. And we welcome the emails. And yes, this was an hour, but I think it's beneficial for everyone, all the stakeholders, to have heard parents today. And I can appreciate how nerve-wracking it was and is to speak in front of everybody. But I do respond to emails when people email us as well. So I think it's part of the conversation, and I think I'm glad that we were able to hear from everyone today, for everyone to hear from everyone today. So.
And I would just like to say, I do acknowledge when people speak. I do agree with them. I do understand their struggles, the very bad struggles and the very bad side of this. So I completely understand, except for, like I said, just because it's my child, this is a community decision. We have to make decisions. If it was up to me, everybody'd be in school.
Yep.
That's just how I am. But it's not just up to me. So this is, and I do acknowledge every meeting when I listen, I do acknowledge it. I do understand that backside of it. So as a parent, I do, but as a school committee member, those decisions will influence, but I'm a school committee member here, sitting here for all children and all parents and all teachers and all administration. I'm not here for just me and my child.
Stephanie? Okay. Do we have any idea if Allie's on? Allie, winter sports update?
Hi, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Oh, nope, I can't. Sorry. Can somebody give me the ability to?
Yeah, you should be good now.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Go in the other room. Jen, can you tell me if you can see my screen?
I sure can.
Hi, good evening, everybody. How are you?
We're doing all right.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow. Can somebody give me a ability to?
What's happening?
This isn't working for me right now. I can't. There's like a 30-second delay, so I'm not going to share my screen. I'm just going to give you the winter sports update and let you know that cross country started on Monday. Basketball. Go on mute.
For me right now. Yeah, there's like a 30-second delay, so I'm not gonna share my screen. I'm just gonna give you the winter sports update and let you know that cross country started on Monday. Basketball